Hello and welcome to the 8-Bit Debaters. My name is Rob, and this week we are covering a few interesting things and bits. We're going to be talking about what is the best game of this decade. We're also going to be talking about the release date has finally been confirmed for Spider-Man on the PS4, and we're also going to talk about Shadow of War having its microtransactions removed. But we're going to start, as we always do, with the icebreaker.
The icebreaker.
Yes, it's the icebreaker, and the icebreaker question for this week is: what video game could you never finish? Just like that, a sentence. What video game could you never finish? I know, self-burn on the speech disorder. I know, right? We're off to a flyer. So yeah, I'm gonna start this week. I'm gonna start with Geordie.
Hey,
Geordie, how you doing this week, buddy?
good.
It's been a few weeks. You dropped out on us last week, and I was really pissed off with you, but I didn't make that known through my messages, so that was cool. No, that's good. So what video game could you never finish? And let's just clarify, it's a game that you could not finish for whatever a reason, whether it's too hard, just crap, or evs.
A game that I could never finish that I actually bought twice is Grand Theft Auto 5.
I do that at least 4 times per each podcast. Okay. As a man who's completed it twice, I'm very interested to hear the reasons why.
Well, it's going to sound shit now, but it's too long. Or
That's
I always.
What she said.
Hey.
She
said that.
It's a big game. So it gets to a point where every time I start to play it, I get to a point where I just fall out of love with it.
Okay.
Or I get distracted somehow, and then I just never go back to it.
Is that due to your crippling ADHD or? Oh, we shouldn't joke because it's classic Rob. Okay, so we're going to move on to Alistair. Alistair, how you doing this week, buddy? Does it feel nice to be home?
It is. I'm back temporarily. Leaving in a few days. So
you're back to the main manor home.
Yeah, the main estate.
Yeah, rather than the main estate. Cool, buddy. So what video game could you never finish?
I'm going to go back a while, and I'm going to say the Mischief Makers for the N64.
I've never heard of the Mischief Makers for the N64.
I really can't explain it. It was a weird, platformer game.
Right.
Where you played as a robot maid, and there was some cubes.
A what?
Yeah. Or something. I really can't remember the story or what was happening. It was beyond weird. There were cubes with faces that you were swinging across and things. And as a kid, I found it too hard, and I could just never complete it. And probably about a few years ago, it suddenly came back to me. And I was like, I remember that old game. So I decided to look it up, and it was panned because it was too easy.
Oh, Alistair. Perhaps it's something you can bring back forwards and try again.
Yeah, I mean,
I
don't have the 64 or the game, but maybe I can try and emulate it and see.
Emulate it, yeah,
see how that bad boy rolls, but yeah.
Not that we condone it, but also it's free, so yay! So there is that. And now we're gonna go to John. John, how you doing, man?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, cool. This will be your last appearance in the 8-Bit Debaters for a while, as you take some leave, some well-earned hard annual leave.
Yes, I'm being deported.
My letters have worked.
I'm off to the free accommodation outside Heathrow.
Yeah. So what video game could you never finish?
Before I start, I must commend Geordie on what looks like a prison cell that he's in.
Last time it was a toilet, and now it's a prison cell.
Yeah,
he shoots from the primest locations.
Exactly. I'm going to carry on banging that drum from last week, but Fallout 4.
Is that going to be your answer for every question that's thrown at you?
John picked a game out of the hat and now can't
When I
back down.
ask you what is the best game of this a decade, are you going to say Fallout 4? Because that would be amazing. Oh, right, okay, fair enough.
No, it was just boring as fuck, I found. There was a settlement that was constantly under attack. It was repetitive. I found myself depressed by the music. Everything broke.
Sad John doesn't play games.
Sad game.
Oh, okay. No, that's. I mean, like I said last week, I played Fallout 4 and I've played it through twice, and I enjoy it. I understand people's gripes and hang-ups about it, but you know what? I enjoyed it for what it was, and yeah, I definitely probably will play for it again in the future. Yeah. So for me, then, the video game that I could never finish, I'm probably going to say Alien Isolation. Just because I bought it because I was going out with a girl who I was trying to impress at the time, and she was really into horror. So I was like, "Oh, I bought this horror game. Look how hard I am!" And it scared the living teeth out of me. And I never got past like the first bit where you first encounter the alien because. It doesn't move in a route. It moves it that you got like if you haven't heard of it, it is a game that's obviously set in the Alien franchise, and there's one alien that walks around the ship, and it's kind of like very good with its AI, and it's always random, and it goes in different directions, and you got no way of really fighting it. Especially early on in the game, I've seen footage of people further on who are able to fight back, but no, I have a very a sensitive disposition, and suffice to say, I didn't really impress too much. Although I have managed to get her pregnant since, so I imagine that's done all right. But so yeah, that's the end of the icebreaker, and now we'll move on to the main part of the show, which is the mass. Yeah, that one.
The mass debate.
Yes, it's this part of the show that they just said just then, because we've apparently learned that I can't say D's properly, and we should probably never name anything, any series or any a part of any show, anything starting with the letter D, because I just can't say it. That's how it goes. So yeah, this is the mass thing, and the question for this week is, what is the best game of this a decade? So obviously the past few weeks we've been going through them one by one. We started at the 90s, which does anyone remember the winner of the 90s debate? It was me, wasn't it? I know that sounded like such a humble brag, but I genuinely I forgot that I won with the Ocarina of Time, and then last week John won with a Counter-Strike. So we're going to see which one now from the year 2010 right up until the current day, what we think is the best game of the decade so far, I suppose. So yeah, we're going to start off with our pitch round, which basically just involves going through each of the bards one by one, giving them between 2 and 3 minutes to talk us through why they've chosen, why the game they've chosen, and then after that we're just going to open up the floor for everyone to have a bit of an argument and a fight and see who comes out as the winner, who shall emerge as the champion and always go down in history, I suppose. So we're going to start this week. We're going to start with Alistair. Alistair, can you tell us about what you think was the best game so far of this a decade?
Skyrim. And somewhere Paddy has got irrationally angry and he doesn't know why yet.
He's in New York right now, and he's walking through like Times Square, and he just stopped for no reason and dropped everything.
There's been an unbalance in the universe.
Yeah, something's wrong.
I'm gonna have to pay off for his forgiveness.
He's probably going to join this a Skype call any a moment. Watch.
Just have
any moment, guys. Any moment. We could sit here for half an hour, but
yeah. For all my sins, Skyrim is the best game of this decade. I mean, it just makes it as a 2011 release, and since then it's been released on everything. And when I say everything, the PC, PS3, Xbox 360, PS4, the One, the Switch, and in VR. So, I mean, it's like 7 different platforms, and I think it sold 23 million copies, just like throughout everything, which says it sells pretty well. And I mean, since there are only like 6 million people in the world, that's a lot of people.
People have bought it more than once, surely everybody.
Yeah. So like everyone's
how
bought
do they
it.
teach maths in Eton?
They don't.
They don't need maths. You just need.
You just need to know you have a lot of money, and that's it. There's no numbers involved. We hire accountants.
We count money. That's it. We don't subtract.
So, I mean, outside of like the numbers and just the fact that it's been on every platform, sold really well, Skyrim is one of the best open worlds open world games that has come into existence. Due to the fact that it is such an expansive world, it is absolutely massive, yet it doesn't feel like it's the same thing over and over again. You can go through the world and you can do all the side quests. You can follow the main story, but I think I've played it for like probably 20 odd hours, and I've only just left like the first kind of major city because I start the main storyline. And I'm like, I'm just gonna do everything around here, and I'm still there. Yeah, my only bugbear is just every time I go somewhere to do a mission, I end up walking back because I'm too full to run, and I don't want to drop my 16 cabbages because they are important. They will come in handy.
Those are my cabbages. I earned them cabbages. No, that is a good pitch and definitely a contender. So next, I'm going to go to the lovely Geordie. Geordie's looking very happy and jolly there.
I went with Red Dead Redemption.
Oh, nice choice. So what made you go with that one then?
It's one of my favorite games ever. It's got an amazing story, amazing characters, great mechanics because it's just Grand Theft Auto but in the Wild West. You can go back to it every so often. I went back to it 2 summers ago and completed it in 1 summer. And yeah, it's just brilliant. And the sequel's coming out this year, which is amazing. And it shows that a brilliant game doesn't have to be re-released every 2 years for people to remember that it's really good.
Oh, yeah, he's already fired some shots, which I'd calmly ask you to respect the pitch round. Geordie, just focus on your game as opposed
I'm locked
to other
and loaded.
people's.
Don't worry.
Consider that a unofficial verbal warning, Geordie, for a foul play. But do you have any other points to add to your pitch? I floored him, haven't I, with my verbal warning?
Yeah.
It's too much for him.
His entire
Your unofficial yet official verbal warning.
Exactly.
It's got a really good name.
Yeah, okay.
Based on its first game that nobody remembers.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Okay, no, that was a good pitch, and it's definitely going to be a hard one to beat. So next, finally, we're going to go with what I assume is going to be a really weird answer because it always is. John,
Yep.
what is the best video game of this decade?
See, I've done it earlier. Played the system. Because it's not my best, it's the best.
Right,
and the numbers do not lie. It's Candy Crush Saga.
You've gone with Candy Crush Saga.
Yeah.
Oh, John,
Okay.
no.
I can safely say I've never played that piece of shit game myself, ever. I have been inundated by the Facebook invites because people want their free lives. And I'm sure you guys have done that. Maybe not Geordie. I mean, Geordie was only around during Instagram years. But, you know, it's... the game itself, it's what is the best game of the 2010-2018. So the reason why I've gone with this one is that we have all been exposed to this abomination of a game at some point in our life.
Okay.
It is the pioneer of the freemium model. I mean, how many games have we got going now that is freemium, where you know everything, their whole basis of their money making is based on buying in-game. Often cosmetics or boosts or so forth, and it's expanded out to what we all love, loot boxes and yes. I mean, you're talking the revenue that this game has made is ridiculous. In 2014 alone, it made $1.33 billion. Billion.
Wow.
You know what I mean. There is a lot of money going on. Yeah. This game's been downloaded 2.7 billion times.
That is literally almost half the people in the world.
Yeah, quite literally. Not Al's figures, but actual figures.
Actual
Stop getting real figures.
Yeah, let's see. That's sly shots fired. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a painful game. You match 3 tiles. I'm sure you guys all know what it is. It's got loads of candy. I have no idea.
I'm just really ashamed that during this pitch we're having to run a footage of it, which means one of us has to take time to play it.
John could do that since he loves it so much.
Not a chance.
Yeah.
I'm being picked up later by the Home Office.
You can play it on your way for the airport.
I mean, it's even to the point that it was released in 2012, and to this day, it is still in the top 10 apps, games that have been downloaded on iOS and Android. for like a history side of things, I mean, it pretty much changed the whole, because it started off on Facebook and it was all the game was hosted on Facebook and you played it on there. But then when they moved into the mobile market, that pretty much exploded the market of games on your phone and completely changed pretty much how a lot of people are exposed to games. I mean, you're going from Timmy, that's 4 years old, through up to Janice, that's 92, that's going across and playing in this game.
Fucking Janice.
Playing on the bus because it's 33 degrees.
That's fair.
But that's where I sit with that one.
I don't like what you've done, John, but god damn do I respect it. Okay? So yeah, that is our three pictures. So we have there Skyrim, Red Dead Redemption, and Candy Crush Saga as three possible candidates for what is the best video game of this a decade so far, I suppose. I don't know what I was doing with my hands there, grabbing for some imaginary boobs. Pen. Anyway, moving swiftly on. So next part of the debate now, we're going to open up the floor for people to argue about why their reasons are the best and why their video games are the best and why the other ones are the worst. And we are always going to end the a debate with a certain noise, and this week's noise is going to be...
Oh yeah, you can milk anything with nipples.
Okay. So once we hear that, you guys know that the a debate has ended. And from there, I'm just going to say, fight.
John, technically, you're a prick.
I love it. Yeah.
You've taken my technically solution and you've gone full board with it, which I respect, but I'm going to have to take you down for it. You can't have the best game of the decade being a freemium game, a game that is built just to make money. It's not to be a good game, it's just to make money. So of course it's going to be like a profitable game because the only thing about the game is that it's designed to make money. It's not going to be an enjoyable experience.
But sorry, carry on.
All it is just a short form of you can play for like 10 minutes and then you pretty much run out of lives and you either have to wait or if you're clever enough, like some people, you can fast forward or you can change the time settings and then just get your lives back.
Someone's been playing it.
I played it when it came out, I admit, but I just stopped completely because there was no difference in any of the levels. It was the exact same thing, maybe with just a few different like handy things that make you do different things.
But that's a different level.
It doesn't have any longevity. You get bored with it.
It's got 2,800 levels. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but they're all exactly the same thing.
With slight additions, which makes them different by definition of not being the same.
I hate you technically. Stop.
I'm being an arse this one.
I taught you too much last week.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then going back to your first point that it's built to make money, I would argue that all games are built to make money, apart from like your modding scene sits on top of games. So I don't know. I still think it. Well, I would still argue that it sits within the gaming remit, that they done such a good job that it's still going to this day. 6 years later. Painfully.
Yeah, but there's. I mean, I agree with your idea of like everything's built to make money. I mean, that's the whole industry. But
yeah, capitalism.
The whole point of freemium game is to kind of suck people in and continuously like leech money out of them. It identifies like the addictive traits within people and exposes them to get money out of them. It's literally the worst of the worst. Mm-hmm. It's immoral at its base, and you can't have the best game just be borderline immoral.
I didn't say I was a good person.
I know, I never thought you were.
No, didn't think so. No.
Yeah,
Jordy, you gonna have a shot?
Hey.
Jordy, just take it
I just want to say, the best game isn't necessarily the most marketable game. I'm sure there are a lot of indie games that are way better than Candy Crush Saga. That
I've really hit a sore nerve, yeah.
It all just comes down to, does Rob really want to go, the winner is Candy Crush Saga?
He did it with chess. The man has no boundaries.
Yeah, that's chess. That makes sense.
Yeah, but the purpose of a debate is not what he personally thinks about the game.
Most successful doesn't mean
the argument that we put
arguments
across.
that are presented on what are going to make my a judgment. As much as I would hate to say that the best game of this a decade is Candy Crush or Saga, if John puts like the best arguments forward, then
Is Candy Crush
I'll just
Candy
be
Crush
fired
Saga is
afterwards.
free, isn't it?
It's freemium, yes. So you've got.
So obviously, people are going to download it initially if it's free. So it's a free game, so they're going to try it out. That doesn't necessarily mean they stay on with it. So they could play it, wait till they get to the money gate, and then leave because they realize, oh, this is a shit game. And then,
but that's the beauty of freemium. That now, granted, I give you that companies have taken this further. For instance, the Dungeon Keeper game, EA were heavily criticized for that because you physically could not progress in the game without paying for money. But with this game, you've got the option to. You've got 5 lives. I think it's 5 lives a day. Alistair, please input. Am I correct?
I think you just have. I think it is 5 lives, and then you have to wait a day if you run out.
A day. So
you can. Like
you can still functionally play the game. At the essence of it, it is still a game. You still have fun for some people. For me, it'd be like dying. But yeah, functionally, it is a computer game, and people will play it. It's a model that works.
5 lives a game is a bit, or a day is a bit restrictive.
Yes.
You think? Because Alistair, how many lives a day do you get on Skyrim and Red Dead Redemption?
As long as you want to play, really.
But how much does Red Dead Redemption
fun
cost?
All day. While Candy Crush Saga feeds in your kids' addiction to video games because they're simple-minded and capitalize on the stupidity of children.
Society, yes. I know I cannot fault you for that last comment at all. I agree with you. But unfortunately, in this modern day of society, we have mobiles. We only have 10 minutes while we're sitting on the tube or in our carriage, like Alistair. And, like between stops.
Helicopter, please.
Yeah, exactly. You don't exactly have time to get Jeffrey to get the Xbox and the TV out in the middle of the helicopter.
That's why you install it in the helicopter already.
That's what the Nintendo Switch is for.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, but no, I do think that it's got its place in the market. Unfortunately, morally, I find it abhorrent. But I do think that on the context of the name, context of the question that was asked, the best one, given the figures and the number of players that are still playing it, and the fact that it's still in the top 10 on iOS and Android. Rob looks like he's about to jump out of window.
Can you prove that?
Yes, I can. So you've got daily revenue of $633,000 on the US iOS App Store alone. It is, like I said, in 2014 they turned over 1.33 billion alone. You've still got a lot of players. I'm trying to see. I haven't got for this year. I think last year was about 200 million active players each month. You know what I mean? So it is still a game that is there, that's still functioning and still working, and people are playing it.
What's the story like in Candy Crush Saga?
It's amazing.
What is the saga?
The saga? Well, it's that you're kind of losing your life to fucking candy. So, but it's free. It's freemium. How much did Red Dead and Skyrim cost?
So I'm just going to quickly round up the argument for Candy Crush. Otherwise, we're just going to get sucked into it, and I'm going to forget to take down Red Dead, and that's going to win by default. And I'm going to be happy with that. So I'm just going to quickly sum up Candy Crush. Why bad? You kind of put the point of, he says best, so you were just doing for best selling. I mean, that's just one component of best. There's like multiple. So you've got best selling, best loved, best designed, and all that.
I love your first one as best loved.
Best loved.
Best loved.
Couldn't be like best presentation or best soundtrack.
It's got to be a best game. Has got to hit.
Mine
the
was
heart.
best loved.
It's got to hit the heart, right? The fans have got to love it, and Candy Crush is a no-go for that. But I'm going to quickly move on to Red Dead, just so we can actually argue all the games instead of just killing Candy Crush because it's bad, John. Red Dead, one of the main issues is just the mission system is very similar for everything you do. You go to somewhere, you turn up, you shoot the bad guys, bang, 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 they're all dead, yeah, you win, surprise. And then you come back, you get real reward, and then you do the same thing again for the next mission. There is not much difference in all of them. On top of that, like the multiplayer system in Red Dead is still very buggy and has game-breaking glitches. I mean, there's still an issue.
Says Skyrim.
Yeah.
Skyrim has entertaining glitches such as a horse climbing a mountain. Have you ever seen that in real life? It's magic.
Have you ever seen this in Candy Crush? There's no bugs there.
No, the bugs are in my phone and they're listening to my conversation so I can get my purchase information. I know what they do. But I mean, it's still the game isn't that well. I mean, it's well put together, but it's still got its glitches, its problems that a lot of people still ruin the game. And yeah, the single player is, I mean, it's put together well, but the mission system's quite dull and it's very samey, so it's not as enjoyable as it could be. And then when you try and make the difference with the multiplayer, having that being broken as well means it's just a bit of a shitstorm, really. I mean, where's the enjoyment when you go from a same thing to a broken multiplayer? And also, there's been quite a few complaints that the game's a bit too easy. I mean,
how many missions in Skyrim involve you going to a certain temple of some kind and killing the boss and then just leaving, or going to a different city and talking to a guy and that's the mission?
Not many, actually. I haven't been to a temple yet. I followed a talking dog. That was cool.
What?
And then killed some vampires, and then a statue started talking to me and gave me stuff.
What did you take this evening?
I don't
How
know.
much of Skyrim have you played?
I don't know, but a weird South African gave it to me. So whatever you want to say, John. But I mean, the Skyrim missions, there is so much difference in them. I mean, you can break down the whole genre type of a mission to be similar. There's like 5 or 6 genres of missions: the follow, the fight, the collect an item, etc., etc. Whereas Red Dead, like most of the core of the mission and sort of like the individual aspects are very samey. And Skyrim,
Yeah,
like,
I'm gonna throw in on that replayability of the Red Dead is not the best. It's a bit samey all the way through.
In Skyrim,
Say
every mission you can like do completely differently because you have the skill tree aspects. You have all like you can go for stealth if you practice up your stealth. You can go in with a massive hammer, armored to the teeth, and just bash people over the head. Far more enjoyable, by the way. Or you can just sneak around, shoot someone with a bow, run away, and then they follow you, and then they can't see you, so they go back and you shoot them in the back. It's hilarious. Or you can just go magic, go ham. So I mean, you can replay the same missions in just different tactics, I mean, depending on your skill tree, and then you can replay the entire game in a totally different way depending on the class you choose, because each race has its own perks and its own strengths, so you play to that character's strength, and then you've got the skill tree within that, which allows you to start doing things in a different way. And then you've got the choices within the game to sort of join the Dark Brotherhood and sort of kill everyone and be evil or be good. So I mean, you can replay Skyrim in so many different ways and not have it as the same game. Whereas in Red Dead, I think you're just towed along on the same route of just like, go there, now back, now kill. You don't really have a choice in what you do.
Yet it's still very entertaining, experiencing the story of the redemption of John Marston and his family, and it uses all the classic spaghetti western tropes for characters and uses them for this amazing narrative of revenge and sort of, well, not really revenge, but just a man who's done bad things in his life trying to do good things, and then you're still sort of shocked and pissed off by the end when the government sort of betray you.
Spoiler.
It came out in May of 2010, so
I want to throw my 2 pence in. Here comes a curveball. To be honest with you, I'm going to throw this one. It's going to be a bit of a different one, but with it, it's now we're sitting in the kind of the latest era of games, and Rockstar, as much as I love them, the one thing that I have to criticize in Red Dead's one of the ones that does fall into this is that their portrayal of women is very misogynistic. There's a lot of sexist themes that permeate throughout most of the games, but Red Dead does as well. I can see Rob's face is like, oh, where's this going? Effectively, the portrayal...
SJW John to the rescue.
The portrayal of women are effectively used as props.
However,
props. Is there any strong female leads that are in there that are not dressed
Bonnie
up
McFarlane?
Excuse me?
Bonnie McFarlane.
Okay.
Who gets kidnapped and almost raped, and you have to go and rescue her? Yeah, man.
No,
she's proper strong.
I mean, even
sorry, I had to interject on that.
Illustrated, one of the achievements is called the Destiny achievement, where you got to tie a female up, put her on a train track, and watch her run over. You're seeing gaming companies that are moving on from that, and I think Rockstar, unfortunately, is one of the ones that are not. They're a bit behind the times with that, where they reinforce strong male stereotypes with females that are either overtly sexualized or victims. So
Where's the
just
female
throwing that one.
representation in Candy Crush Saga?
Where's the male representation in Candy Crush Saga? It's an
Well played.
asexual
Oh.
system. Rob's face.
I mean, John went for a curveball and it landed.
Yeah.
We'll give him
John
that.
wants to win, yo.
Yeah, John has gone hard for this.
Yeah, no.
Candy Crush
we haven't got
represents
internet in
nobody.
Africa. Yeah, no, it doesn't. It's
Except
asexual.
companies banking off of the impressionability of kids.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's be honest. The only group of people that they're going to offend are vegans because of the gelatin that are in them. So how can you be offended by that?
Quite easily, John.
Yeah. Right.
There's-
Can I move
maybe
on
it's
to Skyrim? Because I want to throw my bit at that.
All right,
Go for it.
Go for it, yeah.
Yeah.
Come at me.
The community made mods when they decided that they were going to sell them. What the actual fuck?
The Creation Club, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was it. Yeah. What a dodgy maneuver that.
I mean,
What do you have to say about this, Alistair, as you are personally responsible for this?
as being personally responsible for people only making mods because they
Genocide.
can now sell them. Is that the point of it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean-
it was a bit of a snaky move. to be
Yeah, I mean,
honest.
obviously, like, you have sort of I'd say the OG modders, the people who will make mods because they enjoy making something different in a game and seeing, like, everyone react or making something funny. And then you've got the people who then get incentivized to make mods because there's money attached. It's sort of the natural kind of business model. A lot of people come out the woodwork and start making mods because they have the skill and they can use that skill to make money. Therefore, their time making the mod is worthwhile. And I mean, some of them are worth the money. Others not so. I mean, you can turn a dragon into Thomas the Tank Engine. I, for one, would find that hilarious. And yeah, if I had a PC, I'd probably buy that mod just to watch it. But I mean, it's if your point of people would only started making more mods because they could sell it, it's just the natural business model of things. People will make more people will make things because they have the skill, and then they could be paid for that skill instead of people who volunteer their own time to make something for fun. I mean, it's not really a detriment. It's more just kind of human nature that more people will make a mod.
I really hope your soul is burning inside from defending that abhorrent practice of the makers of Skyrim. Bethesda, is it?
Bethesda, yeah.
Nasty Dog? I don't know.
Bethesda.
Don't know. No idea. I've never played the bloody game. Yes, then there's another two that obviously we mentioned, all the lovely glitches that you'd like to take part in. Personally, I call that poor game making, software development, and as well from what you've described to me, it sounds like a walking simulator of collecting cabbages. I would really not say that's the best game.
Well, I mean, obviously, the whole point in Skyrim is you can pretty much take
Cabbages.
anything and everything. So if you can walk past a table that has plates, knives, forks, spoons, and cabbages and bread and on them, and if you want, you can take them. You can sell them. You can use them for whatever you want. You can eat the cabbages. So it's not necessarily that you have to get them. It's if you're just greedy and don't like to put things down like me, then you will quickly fill up your inventory, which is massive. I mean, it goes by like a weight inventory. So everything carries its own weight, larger items, heavier, etc., etc. And then once you reach that weight limit, then you start being unable to sprint, and it raises during levels. And by like improving different skills, it can raise the amount you can carry. So I mean, it's not necessarily like, oh, I hold 2 cabbages, now I can't run. You're holding 2 cabbages and 1,000 other items, and because you picked up 2 cabbages because you were greedy, you now can't do it. So it's not necessarily a walking simulator with cabbages, even though that's how I play it. It's all down.
I think you've just shot yourself in the foot there.
I mean, it's all down to personal choice. If you want to do it like that, then that's your choice. But if you want to be light on your feet and just go, I don't really want the cabbages, I just want the weapons, the expensive stuff, then I'm out. Then you can do that.
There's only one way to play Candy Crush Saga, and that's tapping a screen.
When you're on the move, when you're a busy person, when you're a busy lawyer, what do you play? Candy Crush.
It
I
spreads
don't know.
germs.
I don't believe that.
Probably the most time you'll play Candy Crush is when you're sitting on the loo doing your business.
That's exactly what it was made for.
So
And
you're
how
gonna
much
be
time do you spend on the loo?
You're going to be swiping with a dirty finger. I don't know what you do with that finger when you're
I
doing
don't
it.
stick my finger up my backside to clean it, I'll be honest.
A lot of germs in the bathroom. I'm just going to put it out there. Even if you clean, there are a lot of different germs, and so you're going to be swiping that screen with dirty fingers, And then if your friend or your child wants to play, they're going to be swiping that screen with dirty fingers. You're not going to clean your screen that often.
No, well, they'll
So
have their
your-
own
people-
iPhone to play it on, the 4-year-old.
Yeah, but like sometimes they're out of battery and it's like, let me have a go, or let me try and solve this one that you're on. So you're just spreading germs. You are just health and safety nightmare. This game, really.
When you go and play kids.
Excuse me?
Don't play kids.
When you go and
Just
play
please
kids.
don't play kids.
I'm not sure where that one
Oh
was
yeah,
going.
you can milk anything with nipples.
Ooh,
There
There you
you
go. That's the end of it. I've called
Okay.
it there. I think Geordie
Rob's
capped it off.
Rob's heard enough.
Geordie killed the conversation. I think.
Rob
Yeah,
started
that's
it before
sure.
it became a law case.
So yeah, that is the end of the debate. Very well fought from all three debaters there. I think I can immediately say it's not going to be Candy Crush. As much as John, I saw you fight
Yes!
so hard, and you could have
Racist.
almost had
You
it.
did
It's racist.
And you definitely did enough to knock the other two games. I will tell you that. But in terms of talking up Candy Crush, you did nothing but talk it down. Which and I know you pitch up the sales figures, but Alistair is absolutely right. That just because it was the best selling game doesn't necessarily mean
There's
it
no
was the
love
best
attached to it.
a video game. So don't have the love, man. You don't have the love. So. That's
Where
what it
is
is.
it?
But yeah, I'm already gonna. So that's pretty much left a thing between Skyrim and Red Dead, which are both, I think, really, really good arguments. And John definitely helped pitch in a few points that threw a bit of a curveball at the end. But I think the main point for me, and I think it was the one that was made very earlier on, was from Alistair to Geordie around the mission variety. So I'm going to have to give this one to Alistair for Skyrim. Alistair
Finally.
wins. I
Should've gone with
think the
chess.
point. I think the point he made with the mission variety was something that you couldn't really argue with. That Red Dead was at times, you go up to a place, you shoot a bunch of people, you get a cutscene, and move on, rinse and repeat. And I think Geordie, you could have went in a bit harder about yours having sort of arguably a better story. And I know you brought up the spaghetti western and stuff, but perhaps if you would have thought that part of it a bit harder and provided reasons why Red Dead was actually better than Skyrim, I reckon you would have had that by the end. But yeah, this week's winner is Al. So
Yay.
well, everyone. So that is the end of the mass thing, and we're going to move on now to the next section, which is our views on the news.
Our views on the news.
Yes, it's our views on the news, the part of the podcast where we talk about recent events that are going on around the gaming business and just generally voice our thoughts and opinions and probably just have a whinge for about 20 minutes or so. The two news items we're going to go through, the first one we're going to talk about is, interestingly enough, a Monolith have come out and saying that they're going to be removing the microtransactions from their release that come out for Shadow of War, which I'm not sure if you guys remember, but the back end of last year, a Shadow of War was released, which was like the sequel to a very critically well acclaimed new IP, which was Shadow of Mordor, all set in the Lord of the Rings franchise, and the game come out. Everyone was really excited, and then we sort of had our first huge exposure to like AAA games finding their way, finding ways to put microtransactions into like a single player only experience, which I know has been perhaps done before, but not done in such a high profile game. I feel like the news with this whole Shadow War thing was very much overshadowed with what happened with Star Wars Battlefront 2, which sort of seemed to happen a few weeks afterwards, and that sort of took a lot of the limelight away from Monolith. But obviously, they're not happy with the performance of a lot of the game, and they come out with a statement saying that obviously they're making the changes because they felt like it kind of broke what the original vision of the Nemesis system is. I know, Geordie, you've played a Shadow of War and stuff.
Yes.
Did you ever feel like the microtransactions were ever in your way when
Nope.
you're playing it? No?
No.
Okay. So how did this make you feel? Does it make you feel go, yeah, or do you go, oh, and what? Because I know when I played I haven't played a Shadow of War, but when I played Assassin's Creed Origins, that's got microtransactions in it, but I never felt shoehorned into it, and that was a game that I very much didn't mind it in. Did you find it to be a bit like that?
Not really. Like, the only reason for microtransactions are that you can buy, I forget what it is. It's like coins and stuff, but you use the coins to buy loot boxes. Mm-hmm. But you can get coins just by doing missions. So, and you always get a lot of coins. So there's hardly any reason to use the microtransactions. So.
No, that's fair. I mean, I think a common criticism I've read is perhaps that there's a certain part of the game towards the end where, in order to get to true ending, you've got to do either A, pay your money out, or B, do a lot of grinding to get to the end. And I think a lot of gamers were frustrated that they were very frustrated by the fact that they were put in a situation where they were pushed towards the microtransactions through a gameplay. Because normally when we're pushed towards microtransactions, when we think of that in video games, it's a very subtle thing, and it's always sort of suggested to us in little pop-ups going, did you know you could buy like a loot box, rather than actually changing the gameplay structure of a AAA game that you've already paid like £60 for, or actually changing that and turning it into a way to push people towards going, like this grind is getting really grindy, I suppose, and I want to pay to just see the end, which I think rubbed a lot of people up the wrong way. Would you say that's quite a fair thing to be frustrated about?
It's kind of fair, but I understand what they're talking about, because in the game you finish the main story and then it's just a lot of like fort sieges, which is what most of the game is, and then basically I don't understand people like complaining about that, because they're basically complaining about having to put effort into playing video games, which I don't understand, because it was very. It turns into like a strategy game. Like you have to level up your chiefs and stuff. So that it was sort of cool. And then,
imagine the reaction was sort of hard enough on their bottom line though, that they felt like they've had to react though.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Definitely.
In terms of, and I imagine it's just like, you know, a different strokes for different folks, in the sense of, obviously some people can. I think Al falls in this boat as well. Some people really enjoy the grind. People really enjoy it. Actually. You know, you look at the rise of the MMO RPG through like the early 2000s, late 90s and stuff. And the reason, you know, there are games that are made where you just grind, and that is it. That is the part of the game. So perhaps, there might be a point like to be raised there. But I think in general, people felt like it was just added in as a way to go, actually, this isn't going to be a fun thing for people to do. We're going to add this in because we want to make a bit more cash. And I think that's what really rubbed people up the wrong way. I mean, certainly from my point of view, I played A Shadow of Mordor a couple of years ago. I really, really enjoyed it. I had a great time with it. And I was actually really looking forward to A Shadow of War. It's one of the very, very few times that sort of the reaction to it and the sort of what people thought meant that I actually didn't bother. There was too much coming out at the time, and I just thought, nah, I'm not that fussed on it. Perhaps if I saw it for like a tenner, I'd buy it, but I'm not that fussed. How about you, Al? Because I know you've only played Shadow of Mordor.
Well, I mean, I technically also played Shadow of War EGX.
All right, don't rub it in. Just answer the fucking question.
I mean, I played Shadow of Mordor kind of at the end of last year, and I really enjoyed it. And then, but like, what hits me with this news is why? Like, Shadow of War hasn't been in the news recently due to the issues with the microtransactions. It's like a fair few months after the controversy happened and then disappeared.
Well, so perhaps they're hoping, like, people like me and you, perhaps they just didn't get the sales that they wanted, that they thought they were going to get, and they recognise there's people like me and you who just sort of, the microtransactions are very much in the limelight at the time, and then they're doing what's looking like a good guy thing, going, look at us, we recognise that we have done wrong. We are going to fix the game and hopefully not try do something like this like in the future.
But it's the time frame. Like if they came out sort of maybe a month after release and go, okay guys, our bad. Like the initial reviews are coming out saying the game is good, but these microtransactions are rubbing a few people up the wrong way.
Yeah.
I would have been like, all right, yeah, that's fair enough. Like maybe now I'll jump on it and see what happens. But now after a few months means there's something going on behind the scenes that we don't know that is kind of causing them to come out and say this. Which unless we get like 100% transparency of why now, why have you come out now and said this instead of a few months ago or just left it? So I'm
the
kind
new
of I'm
DLC's come out now, hasn't it?
Sorry, mate.
Didn't the Blade of Galadriel come out recently?
I have genuinely no idea.
The add-on story, I think so,
Right.
which could explain why they're now changing it.
Perhaps they're doing it for this very reason that people in podcasts and YouTube channels will talk about them removing it and make people think, oh yeah, there was that Shadow of War game that I didn't buy at the back of last year, and oh look, they're taking out like the evil bit of the reason why I didn't buy it. Perhaps now I should go out and oh look, they've got a new DLC, which is no different from a microtransaction in a way. But there you go. There you go.
Could it just be market wariness with loot boxes, things like that?
Perhaps it is that. Perhaps they just want to have like the good guy effect in the sense of actually, you know what, Warner Brothers being one of the first publishers to go, okay, we're happy to roll back on the loot box thing. Obviously, we've seen it work really well in other games over the years, but perhaps it's not for us. But from what I understand, a lot of these changes are coming from the developer, Monolith, not necessarily Warner Brothers, the publisher, but obviously they would have had to get it cleared through Warner Brothers, who, let's be honest, would have already made all of their money on the microtransactions in the past a few months anyway. Anything they earn from now on is probably not going to be a huge amount anyway. So imagine switching it over when you think about it from a business sense, going, okay, let's close the door on the microtransactions and let's just concentrate on a game sales now.
It's not because they feel bad that they've done this. It's because they've made enough money in it that they can like now reason that they've
shut the doors and
and now they're closing it off to hopefully bring a few extra people in to buy the game again. So essentially saying we're back in the news, we're now good, buy our game. So people are now adding to the profit. So
are we still saying as a group they're still greedy fucking bastards?
I think there's some greed going on there, but I mean I wouldn't go it's all greed, but yeah, it's a money.
Greed.
It's
Damn
definitely
business.
It's a money incentive.
Oh, well, there we go. Well, let's move on to our next item of news anyway. And the next thing we're going to talk about is we got a wee little 30-second trailer this week. And the release date for Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4 has been confirmed as some point in September, because I didn't think to write down what the actual release date. I want to say the 7th, but I could be wrong. It could be the 17th. It will appear on the screen. If you're watching it, if you're on iTunes, then you just have to put it into Google.
It's the 7th. Yeah, 7th.
Thank you. Thank God. Oh, I was right. I should have just went with my gut instinct, but there we go. So yeah, it's going to be coming out on the 7th of September, which I have to admit kind of surprised me again. I thought it was going to be coming out at the back end of the year, sort of a Christmassy sort of one to look forward to. But no, it's fallen in September.
Still the back end of the year, technically.
Yeah, I mean it's still back end of the year, but you're still just beating like the holiday season and that, and which for me I'm really pleased about, because obviously holiday season, a lot of games come out, and normally I can only afford to buy one or perhaps two if I'm feeling very frugal. That's a great word. So yeah, I mean, I personally, I just thought I'd bring this up so we can have a little bit of a Spider-Man PS4. Are we excited? Are we not? I mean, I can appreciate John and Alistair don't own PS4s, so
no
a bit of a tricky one for you guys to go, yeah, I'm excited, but I mean, I'm sure you can appreciate as a gamers to have another sort of superhero franchise, which hopefully can follow in sort of the footsteps of what Rocksteady did with the Arkham series, which is actually, let's take a superhero game a little bit more seriously. Let's market it at people who enjoy the superhero franchise and not just generally. Let's market it to, you know, it's not being billed as like a family-friendly, a Disney, a universe thing where you can play with your little toy and put it in. It's, you know, it's intended for people in our demographic and probably a bit younger as well, in the sense of taking it a bit seriously, which obviously Warner Brothers give Rocksteady the license what to do with their Arkham series, and that was I'm surprised didn't come up as one of the best games of like any of these decades that we've gone through. So yeah, I mean, from my point of view, I'm really excited to see it come out. Obviously, we put it as our most anticipated game of 2018. We put it just ahead of Red Dead, because as much as we love Red Dead, we kind of know what to expect, because it's just another Red Dead. It's a sequel to a previously established franchise, where it's really good to see someone else coming out with Spider-Man. So I'm going to come to Geordie, because Geordie seems quite pleased about it as well. So are you going to be buying Spider-Man provided it all goes smoothly,
yes.
or are you a little indifferent now?
No, I'm incredibly excited for Spider-Man. It's one of the only 3 games that I really plan to buy this year, out of Spider-Man, God of War, and Red Dead. But I think Insomniac will do a good job. It looks brilliant. The fighting looks very smooth, and I love how there's just everything. Yeah, everything's completely smooth. If you hit a guy off a building accidentally, he'll save him essentially by
shooting a web.
Yeah, so it looks brilliant. I think a lot of people will hate the fact that if what I think is correct is that a lot of this game will be QuickTime events.
Right. Yeah.
So
I have no problem with that. I quite enjoy them. I don't really care.
But
I will sit there and press B as hard as I can, and I'll sit there and pull a face of absolute joy whilst I'm doing it. Yeah, man, it is one of them where, like, Spider-Man has had a bit of a up and down history throughout the years in video games. Obviously, I think a lot of people have a lot of fond memories of Spider-Man 2 on the PlayStation 2, which I actually have just down here, and I hope to play it at some point for our channel. And it's a great. I mean, personally, from my point of view, it's a great open world a Spider-Man game where you can fling around and do all the web shooting. Looking back now, like, the missions were a bit crap and the story was a bit crap because it was based on the movie, like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2 thing. And it did some really good things, but it did, like, the web slinging really well. And ever since then, there's a lot of games of, like, you know, each time they come out and say, we're doing a Spider-Man for the new amazing Spider-Man franchise, or we're doing a Spider-Man this, a Spider-Man that. Most of them are movie tie-ins, and the first question any person who's ever played played Spider-Man 2 before always asks, is it open world, a web slinging where you actually hang on to the buildings that are actually there? And all the time when they turn around and go, well, it is, but not really, and then everyone gets really upset and go, because it's one of those things where, I don't know if you guys know, but there's been a lot of games that have come out since where instead of, like, web slinging where you press a button and if there's, like, a building, he'll shoot out his web and swing around it, whereas what they did when they come back is, like, they just had it so he can swing wherever, whether there was a building there or not. So you could be in a middle of a park and there'll be no buildings and he'll be just shooting webs. It will just be an animation rather than something that's actually built in, like a physics-based thing. So I'm really excited to play one. It looks like they're doing it really well. Any thoughts from John and Al on Spider-Man PS4, or a bit like whatevs?
Makes no difference to me. I'm not going to buy a PS just for Spider-Man.
If it was coming out for Xbox One, would you buy it?
I would, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it does look good, and I do hope it lives up to the hype it's already built, and it does kind of live up to the expectations, because, I mean, Spider-Man has been almost just like a franchise in general that's been kind of thrown away up until recently, with, like, the movies coming back in that have started to live up to, like, the Spider-Man name and now the game. So hopefully Spider-Man as, like, a superhero, it can come back into the full force that he was.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I think he spent, like, the early 2000s just being the laughing pit of every superhero.
I would say the massive laughing pit's got to go to a Superman. Superman's had a very unfortunate history when it comes to video games, and I know there's a lot of rumors going around about what Rocksteady are working on at the minute, and I'd love them. I mean, there's talks about perhaps them doing something Justice League focused, but I'd love them to come out and saying, right, we've done a Batman now we're going to do a Superman, and them to have a go at it. I'd be really excited about that. But let's just wait and see what they come out with. So yeah, I think that's a nice place to move on, and I think we can call it the end of the podcast there. I think everyone's done really well. I think we can safely all sit behind Skyrim being the best video game of this a decade.
I'm sorry, Paddy.
Should have been Candy Crush. Should have been Candy Crush. So I've been Rob. That's been Geordie, John, and Al. And we've been the 8-bit debaters, and we are all part of Twisted Bar Gaming. If you enjoyed this and you're watching it on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you're listening to us on iTunes, you can also watch us on YouTube. And obviously, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can hear us on the go. On the iTunes thing, Jordy's pulling a face, John's looking like he wants to go to bed, and I was just pleased to be here. And
Yay.
And I've been your host. So say bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.